What would we do with the number 1 overall pick? Carm, I'm going to start with you.
Okay, so I've got what I consider to be some realism and some pie in the sky trying to rip off the Houston Texans. But ideally, I want to trade back twice. I want to go from 1 to 2, and then I want to go from 2 to 4. So, and in my 1 to 2 in my rip-off scenario here, it's not a rip-off, Houston. It's a great deal for you. Absolutely great deal. You got
my thoughts.
Yeah, we're going 1 to 2, and the Houston Texans are going to give us their 2, and they're going to give us their number 12 overall, so they can go up and get their quarterback. We're just getting their extra number 1 pick. No big deal. You get the quarterback, and you tell all your fan bases that you got your quarterback, and it was worth the price of poker. And hey, we've got him, and we're set. So 2 and 12. I'm trying to bilk off them. If I can't get that 12. I'll take whatever else I can get in the later rounds. And then with the 2, I want to do exactly what the 49ers did with the Bears. So that in 2017 they flipped 3 for 2. We're going to do 2 for 4 with the Colts, who need their quarterback, and they're going to come up and take Will Levis or CJ Stroud with the number 2. And I'm going to get, and that trade was a 3rd rounder and a 4th rounder that year, and then a 3rd round pick the following year. So you're going to give us your 4, a 3rd, a 4th, and then a future 3rd. And since it's it's not 3 for 2, it's 4 for 2. I will.
So confused right now.
Are you?
Yes, there's a lot of numbers being thrown around.
I'm very confused. All I'm doing is dropping 2 spots with the Colts.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
I'm dropping 2 spots, and I'm getting a 3rd rounder and a 4th rounder in the draft for it.
Okay.
That's all. That's what's up.
All right.
And I'm going to end up with the 3, a 3rd, a 4th, and the 11th. 3, a 3,
A 3rd round pick?
No.
Wait.
Hold on. I have 4 overall. Okay.
Okay.
I have 11 overall.
Okay.
From the first trade, and I have a 3rd.
Okay.
And I have a 4th.
Okay.
4 picks.
All this year, nothing next year.
Yeah. Yes. All this year. 4 picks for the 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is a question that's going to come up 1,000 times between now and the draft. I see it from Sean, and I'm just pointing it out because it's actually a good question, but it also has a very good, obvious answer. His question is, Houston knows we don't want a quarterback. Why would they do that trade? The same reason Ryan Pace moved up 1 spot with the 49ers, who did not need a quarterback, although it turned out they did. Other teams are going to be looking to trade up. So if you're Houston and you want the quarterback, you got to trade up too. The only way to prevent somebody from leapfrogging you is to trade with the Bears. Doesn't mean they're going to do it. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. But it's 100% going to be something that's discussed. If the Bears have the Colts bidding, the Raiders bidding, the Panthers bidding, all these teams bidding for that number 1 pick, the only way to play defense against that, if you're the Texans and Bryce Young is 100% your guy, which might not even be the case. Maybe they like C.J. Stroud. Maybe they like them both, and they're good staying there at number 2 for all we know. But the only way to assure you get your guy then would be to move up 1 spot and to get the 1 pick.
Yep.
And there's this narrative out there that's going around that the Bears have to sit Justin Fields down and tell them, like, hey, we're going to act like we like these quarterbacks, but really trust us. You're fine, and they don't need to do that at all.
I agree.
They can.
They don't need to act like they want a quarterback.
They don't need to act like they need a quarterback. They're, as you just underlined, the Panthers, the Raiders, the Colts, the Texans. Those are 4 teams in the top 10 that all need QBs. They don't have to act like anything.
And C.J. Stroud played pretty lights out in that game, so I think he elevated his stock. So somebody might say, hey, I like Stroud over Young based on what he was doing in that game. Sometimes that perception, you end with a really great game, all of a sudden it elevates everything.
All right, so you're trading back twice. That's your.
I'm trading back.
What are you doing?
I'm trading back once.
Okay.
To the Colts, right? And I'm trying to work something out to get Quentin Nelson or Buckner, one of those two.
Woo.
If we can get that, and maybe give him some later draft picks or later year, because I'm looking at Houston. They're going to go with the quarterback, right? Arizona, they got a bunch of needs, right? They need offensive line, they need a defensive tackle and end.
And a head
But I'm
coach.
just not trading back one more for Seattle because I think they're gonna pick one of those defensive linemen that we need. So I'm trading back with them and trying to get Buckner or Nelson if we can work that out with some later picks or something of that nature. But I just want one time. I'm not doing the double decker trade. but just one time with them. If we could get, imagine if we can get a Quentin Nelson with Tevin Jenkins, if he's able to be healthy, I think that would be really good up the middle. And then potentially if we could get a tackle in free agency, I think that'd be a really good situation for the Bears. I don't know if that'd be able to happen, to get one of those guys, but it would be if the numbers made sense, picks made sense for the Colts. I think that could be something that could be attractive.
And I wonder specifically when it comes to maybe some wide receivers available, if that's where you can combine the picks to get the right wide receiver without losing too much and still, be able to make your high draft pick trade. Here's something I want to – so I like both your scenarios. What I wanted to bring up is everybody's trade. And I get it. And I love it. I love the concept of it and adding more draft capital. I also want to be very careful, though, that you don't trade too far back. And so my thought here is don't trade past the number 2 pick, ideally. So if you can get something with Houston, which a good comment I just saw a couple seconds ago, which I wanted to bring up because love you, Carm, you're not getting the 12 overall pick for moving back one spot. Just doesn't. I'll go back and look at the Trubisky trade. The Bears gave up a 3rd and a 4th.
That's fine.
And then a future 3rd, and I think they got back a 5th.
And I'll do my second trade twice. So I'll have 2 3s and 2 4s.
But what I do wonder if you could get is the Texans' 2nd round pick. Even if you have to end up giving back like a 4th or something like that to even it out, which would get you essentially back the pick you traded for Claypool because you'd be picking 33. The Steelers would be ahead of you at 32, which was originally the Bears' pick, but maybe you can get back that early 2nd round pick, which would make me feel better about everything. I'm just being selfish. So that's interesting to me. But the reason why I say be careful about moving too far back is, and I went back to 2017 on this, but let's go back and look a little bit at the top picks in the draft that were not quarterbacks. And I think you're going to see a little bit of a theme here. So, again, this is non-quarterbacks drafted like in the top 3, but it kind of depends by year. So last year, Trayvon Walker and Aiden Hutchinson. I think if you were watching these dudes,
killers,
both look like studs.
Yeah.
Walker's got a little bit more seasoning that's got to come, but he's, to me, having a pretty good year. Hutchinson, out of all the guys I saw try to defend Justin Fields this year at the line of scrimmage, I think he was the best.
Yeah.
I mean, his ability to surf and then still recover.
The athleticism, though, to match him step for step. And I know Justin Fields wasn't 100%, but that was really impressive.
So what I'm getting at is, like, there's dudes at the top of the draft. And you start to get back even like the 4th or 5th pick. Now you're talking more about, like, good players. But I'm talking about, like, superstars, like really high-level difference makers that make an impact right away, okay?
It's just more of a sure thing.
It's just more of a sure thing. But also I think the proof is in the pudding here that that's kind of what you're getting when you're making the first pick. Yes, there's examples of busts in history, but I'm going more recently here. There really aren't that many examples of busts. So Derek Stingley Jr., I honestly don't know how good of a rookie year he had. I'd have to go back and watch the Texans more.
Jeff Okuda's not exactly.
Okay, let me go through the years. We're still on 2022 here.
Okay, I'll calm down. Keep going.
Sauce Gardner, then the next one, who looks like a stud.
Yeah.
So it looks like a stud. So the first 4 picks last year that were not quarterbacks, 3 of them, to me, look like they can be superstars. And maybe, we'll see on Stingley. So 2021 then is a very interesting year because a lot of quarterbacks taken, a lot of good players taken. Kyle Pitts, Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, Penei Sewell, J.C. Horn, Patrick Surtain, Devonta Smith, Micah Parsons, Rashawn Slater. I mean, that 2021 draft was
a lot of Pro Bowlers.
Kind of the exception to the rule, though, but it really was stacked. Now, that being said, what I'm trying to get at, though, is superstar. Do I like Kyle Pitts? Do I like Surtain, Devonta Smith? Yes, but honestly, from that list, Jamar Chase and Micah Parsons are on a different level.
Right, and you're very much not. You can't count on getting Micah Parsons at 13.
Slater too.
Yeah, Slater's a stud.
I mean, he was Pro Bowl as a rookie. Like, would have been this year if he didn't hurt his. I think he pulled his quad or tore his quad or something like that. But
2020, Chase Young right at the top of the draft, and then to your point, Carm, which is actually proving my point. You had Jeffrey Okudah, Andrew Thomas.
Right.
So pretty big drop off right away from Chase Young.
Exactly.
And I know Young was dealing with the injury too, but when he was healthy,
he was
stud. 2019, Nick Bosa at the top, Quinnen Williams, Cleveland Farrell after that. 2018, Saquon Barkley. Again, you can blame the ACL and everything. Dude's an absolute beast
this year
when he's healthy, and he came back this year. And then you go to Denzel Ward, Bradley Chubb. Now, that was the Quentin Nelson, Roquan Smith. To me, though, Barkley and Nelson are the ones that are like different level.
Nelson was a great pick.
Yeah.
Wasn't that popular at the time.
And then 2017, Myles Garrett off the top. Bears take Trubisky. The next pick was Solomon Thomas, though. So what I'm getting at is every single one of these years, except if you want to say the Falcons reaching for Kyle Pitts, and that hasn't exactly worked out. He didn't have a great year, but Jamar Chase was right there. So I would just fault the Falcons for that more. The first guy that's not a quarterback taken has been an absolute stud. So I love the idea of trading back to get more, but you also need real-ass football players if you're going to really turn this thing around. So I'm just saying, be careful. If you can do a deal with the Texans and maybe get back that second-round pick, that's an ideal world, and maybe that's even a stretch. But if you could do that and then land your pass rusher and Will Anderson or Jalen Carter as your three technique, an absolute difference maker right away, to me, that's the perfect scenario.
Don't you believe that 4 is the latest we want to go? Because I think Houston's going to get the quarterback. The Colts, if you trade with them, they're going to go quarterback. And then basically it just depends on what Arizona does, whether they go Will Anderson, whether they go Jalen Carter or an offensive lineman. So then essentially you're going to be able to get one of your guys, whether it's Carter or Anderson.
Yeah.
At that point. So I think 4 is the latest I go because Seattle is looking for defensive line help potentially too. They might give Geno Smith another year, draft a quarterback in the later rounds, and see how that goes. And then Detroit's after them. So I think 4 is my limit, the farthest I'll go back.
Yeah, and that's the thing. This could be a moving target. It's January 9th. I would just, if I'm Ryan Poles, Ian Cunningham, I'm going, look, these are the can't-miss guys, right? And we're not willing to budge past that because we have to get one of these dudes.